The Rundown is brought to you by Commonwealth Brewery Limited. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the show. It's great to have you with us for another night. Well, Grand Bahama's hotel sector getting a much-anticipated boost with Thursday's heads of agreement signing for the redevelopment of the Grand Lucayan Resort. It's literally the talk of Grand Bahama. And if you're familiar with the Lucaya area, officials at Grand Lucayan's neighbor, the Pelican Bay Resort, is expressing optimism that the redevelopment of the Grand Bahama International Airport could move in tandem, boosting both tourism and investor confidence. Raven Davis of our Northern Service has the story tonight.
Been getting Grand Lucayan back and reopened.
Nearly a decade after Hurricane Matthew crippled Grand Bahama's tourism lifeline, a potential turning point is finally in sight. Pelican Bay Managing Director Magnus Alnebeck views the imminent signing of the heads of agreement for the Grand Lucayan Resort as a critical step forward.
There is going to be work and rebranding and repositioning and renovations. And then eventually there will be an opening, and that will be the big, nice day.
In its heyday, Grand Bahama boasted nearly 5,000 hotel rooms, a number that has since plummeted. Alnebeck emphasizes that while the resort's revival is a major development, the island needs more volume. That is why he sees the property's redevelopment as a pivotal move toward restoring Grand Bahama's hospitality sector.
Those people want to have a destination that is alive with restaurants and plenty of stores and things that are happening. So, you know, we are probably the biggest supporters of getting Grand Lucayan open. It is likely to be 60 or 70% of all the rooms that we have that hopefully will get open pretty soon. And that will, of course, attract airlift, and hopefully we'll get the airfares down, and you know, there's a whole effect of something like that.
Addressing another crucial piece of the puzzle, he says he's optimistic that the redevelopment of the Grand Bahama International Airport will move forward in tandem with the resort project, further positioning the island for sustained economic growth.
I would be highly surprised if that's not part of the heads of agreement. I'm sure that the new owners of such a hotel will have worked that out with government.
Meanwhile, reports continue to circulate about the identity of the investor behind the Grand Lucayan deal. While the government has remained tight-lipped on the details, the Pelican Bay manager says a mixed resort model would be a smart and strategic approach to attracting a broad range of visitors.
You might have some property that is focused on family tourism, maybe some property that is focused on younger couples. What that combination is going to be and how that is going to be positioned, that I leave to the owners.
All right. Raven Davis reporting there from Northern Service. Now you hear that speck of optimism from the neighbor right across the road, which people would look at as the competitor, but understand how the sector works. When you have a massive project like that that's about to take shape and take form with its redevelopment and bringing obviously new visitors, it only bodes well for those properties in the area. And Pelican, you can imagine, has benefited perhaps from that resort not being fully occupational because of the fact that people have been going there instead, right? But yet, there's this amount of optimism that this is good for us in Grand Bahama. This is good for the sector because in tourism, your success comes with shared responsibility with others. You can't say, well, I want to be the only thing operating and the only entity here and think you're going to make all the money. It doesn't work like that in tourism. It's a shared thing. You see, if everybody gets a piece of the pie, if everybody has great development, then it boosts arrivals, it boosts more people have the capacity to stay, and everybody benefits. And so there it is. The Pelican Bay, right across the road from Grand Lucayan, believes this is good news for the island as a destination, and no doubt they'll continue to benefit perhaps even more. Well, here in the capital, former head of the Bahamas Hotel Tourism Association and Bahama Vice President Robert Sandy Sands forecasts that the redevelopment of the Grand Lucayan Resort, well, represents a renaissance for tourism on Grand Bahama and a new beginning for its residents.
It is so important that this particular project gets off the ground, started, and that we put people to work, and we begin to attract persons back to Grand Bahama Island. For years, that was the second destination. And for multiple reasons, it's fallen off. I only wish them the greatest success in making this happen in the shortest period of time so that we can get that ball rolling again. There is no downside to this hotel opening in Grand Bahama. It is only all positive.
Well, the senior hotel executive is applauding the parties for reaching to this point, which he predicts will be a, you got it right, game changer.
And I wish the developer, I congratulate the government of the Bahamas for its tenacity in pursuing this, and to the people of Grand Bahama who will benefit from this opening by job creation, and the vendors that have been sitting idle for a long period of time. My prayer is that this is, like I say, a new beginning of great things to come for Grand Bahama.
I like the description of sitting idle. That's how slow it's been. They've been sitting idle. And so you can imagine why people are expressing so much optimism, because it can only go up from here, right? That's what people are believing. I mean, why wish ill about it? And you hear the message there, people can go back. Can you imagine? Now, if you know Grand Bahamians, and I gotta be careful how I word this, I have a Grand Bahamian in the studio tonight. If you understand Grand Bahamians, they love Grand Bahama, right? So for Grand Bahamians to have relocated because of the economy, you understand it must have been a tough move, because we've always had this little rivalry going on with New Providence and Grand Bahama. Grand Bahamians love Grand Bahama. And so for many of them to have moved out because of the economy or because of lack of work to be able to make ends meet, that was a tough decision. So the fact that this now can signal that you can go back to Grand Bahama, you can imagine how many people are excited about it, because that's home to them, and that's something they always are proud of. And so being able to get back to work or see the economy come back, it's nothing but good news for the people of Grand Bahama. And so, of course, everybody's hoping, I would think, to wish them well and hope that this works out and this pans out and we see Grand Bahama. I don't think you want to go back. You know, people keep saying go back to the glory days, but I always tell people you don't never want to go back. You want to move forward, right? You want to see the kind of economic activity you once saw. You want to see that same kind of economic activity again, and that same kind of success. And I believe they're onto something, and so I think everybody's waiting for Thursday and hoping that it happens. One thing we are hearing, the developers are ready to go. It's not about signing and then let's go back and have a good vacation. They want to begin working right away to prove that this is not just a signing. They are serious about getting to work and redeveloping that entire area. And we understand there's going to be some surprise announcements by Prime Minister later that evening when he gets over to the Port Lucaya. There are some other announcements over there. So it's going to be a pretty big day for Grand Bahamians, and one I think they can look and say, listen, we think we're out of the doldrum. Let's look forward and let's see progress, and let's see the redevelopment, and let's see the worth of Grand Bahama come forward again. That's going to be pretty excitement. As we mentioned, the redevelopment of Grand Bahama is a talk of the town. Everybody's talking about it. You may remember that Prime Minister, the Honorable Philip Davis, has made it clear on several occasions that an announcement was imminent on the resort sale. In fact, this past February, he hinted that the government was in the final stage of closing a deal with a prospective buyer. The Prime Minister declared that his administration is taking a holistic approach to the sale of what has been a beleaguered resort, right? As well as a promised redevelopment of Grand Bahama International Airport, adding that the government sees the two projects as connected. And of course, we want to remind you about our live coverage right here on the ZNS television network and radio network, of course, as well. The historic heads of agreement signing for the redevelopment on the Grand Lucaya Resort this Thursday, May 15th. Our coverage starts at 1:30 p.m. ahead of that 2 o'clock signing. We'll be on air all afternoon to make sure you don't miss not one part of it in Grand Bahama. And in the rundown, of course, my show will be coming there live as well on Thursday. That means the rundown on leadership will return next week Thursday with Ahmad Rashad, as we'll be in Grand Bahama for the signing of those agreements. And here's what's on the show tonight, of course. Did you know the University of the Bahamas has its own government and public policy institute? Y'all better recognize UB ain't playing. It offers highly trained and motivated professionals pursuing public policy discourse, research and training that significantly impacts the good governance, prosperity, and sustainable development of the Bahamas and the Caribbean. I can think about a long list of people who need to go to this institute who are already working in government, who are ready. Anyway, let's not go there right yet. The head of the institute joins us tonight. We'll talk about it. Some folk, we need to offer scholarships to them. And it's It's National Road Safety Week. You know what that means? That's the one time you all drive safely for 1 week at least. Well, for all you motorists out there, that means you must continue to follow the rules of the road. Officials of the Bahamas Driving School Association. I'm learning about all these associations because I never knew there was one. And they are in existence, and they're very active. They're on the show tonight to give you a better educate residents on the importance of road safety. So we've got a good show planned for you. The rundown here in the ZNS Network. We get started with all of this right after the break. Stay close.
Is the Little Caesars Stuffed Crust Pizza. Get more pizza for less money. Only $12. It's a whole new level of pizza with cheese stuffed crust so spectacular that there's nothing left.
Pizza.
A delicious pepperoni pizza with the crust stuffed with lots of cheese and brushed with butter and garlic flavor and sprinkled with Parmesan cheese. Hot and ready Thursday to Saturday between 4 and 8 for only $12. Simply irresistible. And only at Little Caesars.
Pizza.
The thought of colon cancer never really crossed my mind until 2019, when a very good friend of mine was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer. I was shocked. Everybody was shocked because he was a picture of perfect health. He was young, athletic, successful, and full of life. Many of us are still in disbelief. I started to question my own health because if it happened to him, surely it could happen to me. Then came the fear, the anxiety, and everything else in between. Facing your own mortality is very sobering. But for me, I decided right then to have a colonoscopy. And I'm glad I did.
Colon cancer is the third most common cancer diagnosed in Bahamian men and women. Fortunately, almost all colon cancers are preventable. A colonoscopy or some other appropriate form of colon cancer screening is recommended for everyone over the age of 45. During a colonoscopy, we can detect and remove colon polyps that may grow and later become colon cancers. Don't wait until you develop symptoms, such as blood in your stool, abdominal pain, a significant change in your bowel habits, or unintentional weight loss. These may all be indications of a severe problem that requires immediate attention. If you're over the age of 45 or have any of those symptoms, talk to your doctor about the benefits of colon cancer screening today.
Bahamas Driving Group of Companies, we have been in Exoma now for the past 4 years, carrying out our paving program. A part of our company's philosophy is to do some work to international standards. So when you look at our paving division, we have a state-of-the-art lab to do all of our testing in-house, as well as a state-of-the-art asphalt plant with a trained technician carrying out the work on that site. The overarching goal of our company is to produce the work that we're doing in the entire Bahamas to international standards. We also make a difference by the training of our staff. We have a very intensive training program going on to where we are teaching young men how to learn the art of striping. Being a young man myself, I've made mistakes in the past. I was given a second chance to better my life, and it's only fitting that we pass it along. What's important for us is giving them a second chance for them to get a skill and a career that could take them further in life.
Welcome back to the Rundown. A special good night to all of you. Those of you who are watching in the lines, then I see you in the lines, and it's always great to have you. Those who watch by YouTube, whether you're in Turks and Caicos, in the Caribbean, around the Family Islands, internationally watching us, it's always good to have you join us on the Rundown tonight. Well, the vision of the University of the Bahamas' Government and Public Policy Institute is to facilitate highly trained and motivated professionals pursuing public policy discourse, research, and training that significantly impact the good governance, prosperity, and sustainable development of the Bahamas and the Caribbean region and beyond by extension. Well, the Institute is committed to rigorous research, integrity, sound public policy, and service to people, among others. Executive Director of UB's Government and Public Policy Institute is former Minister of State for Finance and former Member of Parliament served in Fort Charlotte, also in Marco City, Shivargo Lang. And we're so happy to have him on the rundown of his inaugural appearance. It took long to get here, but you're here. You're here.
Good to be here.
Welcome, sir. Good to have you in the rundown.
Thank you.
You know, when you think that we have a policy, see, people don't understand, I'm serious about this. When you have such a policy in the University of the Bahamas, I think some folk ought to pay a visit because I am sure we would have stronger governance and stronger people in government if a lot of people were able to filter through some institution of higher learning to get some key facts and key skills. Somehow I always tell people, you know, because you win an election, you run and you win, don't automatically make you a professional public policy individual, somebody who's perfect in public policy, perfect in running a government ministry you never ran before in your life. You don't become the expert all of a sudden. And sometimes I think that's why administrations fail, because all of a sudden you become the expert subject matter, and people who've been in universities getting degrees, who've worked in these places for years, all of a sudden don't have any opinion. But let's talk about the public policy department at UB and really what do you strive to achieve with this particular division?
Right. So the Institute, the Government and Public Policy Institute, is a think tank. Right? So our job is to think, research, train in matters of public policy. What do we mean by public policy? Public policy is anything the government is or is not doing in response to a concern of the public, an issue of the public. So whether the government is addressing some road issue, some educational issue, some public health issue, or some economic issue, all of that concerns public policy. And our job is to do four things. So many times when we talk about government issues in the Bahamas, we come at it from our prisms. Right? We come at it from our opinions.
We're very opinionated in this country, and we try to make opinions to be facts.
And you know, everybody, you're gonna have opinions. Where we differ is we have to approach the dialogue from an evidence-based point of view. So we try to bring regional, international, local research to bear on the subject so that it's more informed and not as dictated by passion or prisms as oftentimes can be the case. So dialogue is what we do. So you'll see us have public policy lectures. We invite ministers to come in and give public policy lectures about their particular areas. We invite international experts to talk about matters that impact public policy in the Bahamas, the region, and in the world. So that's the first thing we do. The second thing we do is we do research. So to have advanced knowledge of something, you have to do research. And research isn't I checked Google and filled up some things and that's that. That's not the research we do. We have to do scholarly research. And scholarly research has to be subject to robustness and rigor and has to be peer-reviewed. And so it has to be something that can stand up to scrutiny. So you would have seen us do the living wage study. Which was one of the first research studies we initiated. We would have done cultural values studies. We would have done studies for the Ministry of Finance on economic recovery and growth and created a computer dynamic model that the government can use today to scenario different things that can tell it what is likely to happen if we did those things. So we do a great deal in the way of research. We also make ourselves available to the public and private sector in the event that they want to have something studied or some guidance about public policy. So let's say the government is proposing some public health initiative. and the private sector firms that might be concerned with that says, well, we'd like to have a better perspective on this. They can come to the Public Policy Institute and even ask us, can we engage you to research that issue for us? And we can do that. The government could do the same thing. We're thinking about doing this. Can the Public Policy Institute give us some research-backed guidance on this matter? And because we have the ability to connect with experts all over the world, there is really literally nothing we can't study for the country, private or public sectors. So we do that. We also do training. So you mentioned it. So we do training. We actually have trained scores of public civil servants in an extensive Bahamas public service institutional capacity building program. And so we do provide opportunities for people to get more training in matters of public policy, public administration, and the like.
Do you find that people are taking full advantage of what this division can provide?
Well, first of all, let's be clear that the university itself has a number of courses in matters of public administration, government, and the like that people can access. We do purpose-built trainings for clients, for people who might ask us to do it. And so what we hope to do going forward, for instance, is offer seminars in matters of public policy for people who are interested in political leadership, as we have done with the IDB as a partner for women in political leadership. And so that will allow some people who have an interest in government, who do not know as much as they might need to know to be more effective when they go into government, to be able to take advantage of those courses.
I'm going to ask you a very blunt question. Are the people entering government over the past, I guess, maybe even from maybe a few decades, recent, let's say about decades, 2 decades, do you believe they're equipped to govern?
Well, you know, it's hard for me to say because I don't know personally the backgrounds of all these people. Some of those people have had experience in government, whether they were civil servants or they were politically elected persons or appointed persons. So some people have. Some people have not had any such exposure, and so they come into it fresh and they come into it new. Really, the truth is a willingness to serve and a humility to learn is pretty much all you need to be able to expand your capacity to serve well. So if people come in, as you say, and I know everything because the people elected me and I'm not going to listen to anybody, that's a formula for disaster.
Right.
But if you come in and you say, you know what, I don't know a lot, and so here are trained professionals, permanent secretaries, deputy permanent secretaries, and FASs and SASs and directors who are available to provide some guidance, etc. And then there's some experienced policy directorates who have been in office before, who remain in office, who I could draw on. If you have that approach, you do well. When you don't have that approach, it doesn't go so well.
We look at the public service, right? It is a creature, I call it a creature because of the magnitude of it. It's built on policies, right? Many that people believe are outdated and need updating. Many that people don't understand actually exist for a purpose. And so people circumvent it because they don't understand, well, why do you do this? Until you understand how they connect. How do we solve a robust, growing nation when public policy seems to be few and far between in so many areas, or void in so many areas that need to be governed by public policy?
Well, the reality is public policy is everywhere. The fact that the Broadcasting Corporation exists is a matter of public policy.
Correct.
The government decided there will be a Broadcasting Corporation. Inside your homes, you can't get married in this country and have a marriage license unless the government says so. Correct. And you have to do it in the way the government says so. So public policy is everywhere. And the only thing you can do is do more and more to make people aware of the notion of policy and the type of policies that exist. Every law in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas is a public policy that is codified. Every law. So so you always see in public policy, when you choose to run or don't run a red light, you are choosing to break or don't break a public policy.
Right.
So it's everywhere. I mean, you can't escape public policy. And we have a lot of knowledge of public policy, but we just don't know that they are public policy. When you go to apply for your business license, and the way you go, because you've been doing it for so long, you are complying with public policy. So I'm just now, and we are helping to introduce the language of public policy more, and we will try to educate about public policy more, both in formal and informal ways.
Can your division work more cohesively with government? Because there is a sector of government where reform is necessary, and reshaping public policy are important. Can you work hand in hand with that, and have you been doing that?
Well, absolutely. In fact, we've been pleased that the government has looked to us for training. The largest single grant that we had to do any work was a training grant for public civil servants.
Wow.
Like I said before, the Ministry of Finance engaged us to do a study on recovery and economic development arising out of the pandemic. And so we did that study for them. We are doing a major study for the Ministry of Education on factors affecting learning outcomes in school-age children.
Wow.
So the government has been very eager to use the Institute to assist and support it, and we have made ourselves available to the government, as we have to the private sector. We have nonprofits who come to ask us about training in matters of public policy. We have multilateral institutions that come and want to partner with us to do things in regard to public policy, and so the Institute is really making its way.
Where do your students go when they're done graduating?
Well, so the Institute doesn't itself have students or graduates. The university has the students and the graduates. We are a component, an institute within the university, and so our training may be to civil servants, to private sector groupings or the like. But when people finish training in terms of public policy and administration at the university, they can go off and do master's program, become professional scholars. They can end up in government somewhere, participating in public policy design and execution. So it really becomes limitless what people can do with a good, solid knowledge in public policy and administration.
All right, we're going to go to a break. When we come back, we're going to turn to some of the current affairs and issues going on in the country and get your take on it. It is so interesting, especially since I saw a post regarding you right before the show. I'm going to get your take on that. We're going to spice up a little bit after this break. You're watching The Rundown. We're back right after this. Stay close.
Summer in the Bahamas. The weather is hot, but not as hot as the ZNS summer packages. Get ads on ZNS TV or ZNS Radio Network or the TV community page, or a combination of all three. ZNS has got you covered with great prices, whatever package you choose. Book before June 7th and get the local Federation Championship Baseball bonus full of all kinds of extras free of charge. Contact your account executive or call ZNS Sales at 502-3800 today. Hot summer package rates valid until July 31st.
Let's go.
At Frame Studio, as soon as you enter the door, we showcase any individual that comes in there and make it feel like they are at home. The space itself is 1,800 square foot. Our side wall, which is industry standard also, is 24 feet wide. You can do anything that you can possibly think of. At Frame Studio, under our theme, Now Create More, we look at Frame Studio as a canvas, and any artist knows a canvas is blank, and then you create whatever you want to do, right? So we have where you could rent tools. We even have workstations that people could rent out to anyone inspiring to do what I've done, or what my colleagues have done, or any other journey I would say to you, don't be afraid. The worst someone can actually tell you is no. So if you have a vision, you have an idea, not everyone will get it. But if you believe in your vision, you believe in your idea, I say go wholeheartedly at it.
For more information about the Creative Entrepreneurs Initiative and the Crafting the Bahamas workshops, email info@sbdcbahamas.com or call us at 461-7232.
Hi, Phil Swift here for the FlexSeal family of flood protection products. Our flood protection products are specifically designed to work together in order to create multiple layers of super strong protection. All these windows, doors, seams, and openings have all been sealed up tight. Now there's a new way to protect your home or business from damaging floodwaters. Get the removable FlexSeal family of flood protection products.
Welcome back. We're talking to Shivago Lang, former cabinet minister, former state minister of finance, and of course, he is the executive director of the Public Policy Institute at the University of the Bahamas. We're going to turn now to some of the current affairs happening in the country and get his take on it. Obviously, we're going to start with what people are talking about this week, Grand Lucayan. Your take on the government announcement that they've reached to this stage?
Yeah, welcome announcement, absolutely. You know, we'll keep monitoring it to see the progress made from announcement to signing to start and to operation for sure. And you'll have to forgive Grand Bahamians if they tend to be a little bit more cautious in their optimism, because they have seen a lot of groundbreakings and announcements, and so they'd be more eager to see the thing actually unfold. But it's great. It's great to hear progress is being made, and I look forward to it. And I hope and pray they have, you know, just awesome success.
People have asked so many years, what is the key to getting Grand Bahama back on its feet, right? And it seems as though the answer has wavered over the years. I want to get your take on what is the answer to getting Grand Bahama back on its feet.
Successfully operated resorts and other kinds of businesses outside of the industrial sector. Grand Bahama is like the tale of two cities. There's the industrial sector that's doing very well. Right. Their clients are outside the island, outside the country, but they don't hire a lot of people. They hire a good number of people, but not a lot. There are lots of people whose skill set is in tourism and related fields, who, if a resort is open and hiring hundreds of them, that's great, wonderful. They get to come back home. They get to be home and do their stuff. And so what it really requires is a robust tourism sector alongside the industrial sector, alongside other enterprises and sectors opening up on the island.
And what do you believe has been the challenge to getting tourism back robustly in Grand Bahama? Well,
finding the right developer and the right operator. That's really been. We had a great developer in Hutchison Mampo, but they didn't have a good operation.
Right.
And so if this group that's signing is a great developer and operator, it would bode well for the island and for the country, quite frankly.
There's been the ongoing dispute, as you know, this administration and the Port Authority. And that has kind of had people a bit skeptical as to what's going to go on in Grand Bahama, because there has to kind of be a partnership going on with the port and with the government. Your take on this?
Well, I always thought that it was not a very productive dispute, not a very productive approach that the government took to the Port Authority. There are good reasons to be frustrated with the Port Authority because if the Port Authority is largely responsible for economic activity and development in the Freeport area, then nobody who looks at Freeport over the last 20 years could say that the port has done a great job at that. Right. So that's a fact. But then if you look at East Grand Bahama and West Grand Bahama, which the government has responsibility for, they have absolutely nothing going on all of in those spots either. So So it's kind of difficult for the government to claim that the port is useless if by the same token, many of the areas you have responsibility for are not doing anything. So everybody's useless.
Right.
Solving the issue of economic progress for Grand Bahama isn't a matter of name calling and conflict. It's a matter of cooperation, collaboration, and coordination, and doing the necessary to go find successful and capable investors, such as we are being told now may be in the works.
This administration has said they've done their due diligence. We see what's happening with Celebration Key. We see what's happening with the purchase of Xanadu Resort by Royal Caribbean. We see several other small projects that are coming on stream, and now the Grand Lucayan. If these pan out, will that be enough to get Grand Bahama jump-started?
If they pan out, it'd be great progress for Grand Bahama. There's no question about that. It'd be great. I mean, I myself know of something that could be very meaningful for Grand Bahama, but we'll see.
Really? Something that's coming on stream?
Something being considered. Let's put it like that.
You want to tell us a little bit about that?
No, I told you much.
Let's talk about, you've been a member of the Free National Movement. You served as a cabinet minister in an Ingram administration. The party has transitioned with leadership. I was reading to you in the break, someone who went online and posted a criticism about you, I guess criticizing Dr. Minnis and saying, well, he's not in the picture anymore, but they believe that you're still criticizing it. What is your take on what is happening with the Free National Movement? They seem to move away from a lot of the senior members who perhaps were in government before and were trying to still be a part. They've moved away from that. Michael Pintard has kind of presented an image that I'm trying to create a new thing, a new image, and move away from the old stain of the F&M. What is your take on that?
Well, you know, I'm always amazed that the people who say that Minnis has gone quietly into the sunset and not been making much noise tend to go and make so much noise for him. Why? Why would you be so passionate that somebody is, in quote, criticizing Dr. Minnis if you don't have some axe to grind yourself? The truth of the matter is the Free National Movement has made its determination about its leadership. They had a convention. The same Dr. Minnis who they said isn't against or doesn't do anything to undermine Michael Pintard contested against him in that convention. Former Prime Minister and former leader of the party.
Is that a bad thing?
No, absolutely not. He's free to do that, but the matter was settled at convention.
Right.
And since being settled at convention, the posture of the former leader and former Prime Minister has not been one of significant support for the party's leadership. And I don't have to hide that. I mean, that's obvious. If you're my leader, and for 4 years I've been the opposition leader, and some people say, well, he's never said anything against him. What has he said for him?
True.
Just let's find a newspaper clipping.
True.
Let's find the interview in the House of Assembly where he said, this is my leader and I support him and blah, blah, blah. How often has that happened? So it becomes an obvious something. So I think the party is trying to move forward. It does have a segment, and it is significant that it's the supporters of the former Prime Minister and leader of the party that seems to have a challenge with the current leadership. And so, you know, it's not, to my mind, disunity. It's, to my mind, a issue.
He said in the House Assembly last week, Wednesday, that he will continue to represent the people of Killarney, and he will, I guess, perhaps continue to represent them. It was his indirect way of saying, I'm just going away, without saying I'm going away.
Yeah.
He was not clear, but he didn't give the notion that, although you haven't given me the nomination, I'm done.
Well, until election, he is the representative for Killarney. FNMPLP doesn't matter. He's the representative, and he ought to do his job as the representative for Killarney. If, in fact, he decides to run again, that's fine, too. I mean, this is a free country, and he has a right to do that. it is unlikely he's going to do that on an F&M ticket, but he can do so anyways. And if he wins, then he confirms what he has said about the support he has in the area. If he doesn't, then he now knows another story. But so this is not even the issue, because I listen to people say Mr. Pintat is trying to retire him. No one can retire you. Retirement is a voluntary choice, right? So it's only a question of whether you get to run under an F&M ticket or do something else. And he determined last election that a number of people would not run under the F&M.
So this is kind of like...
And he also determined that if the people reject you, because when you lose an election, according to the former Prime Minister, the description of you is that the people reject you. He said the people rejected Ingram. So apparently when you lose an election, you are rejected by people. And so he then described Mr. Ingram as having his era over and going into retirement. What's good for the goose, some people might say, should be good for the gander.
Does it seem a bit awkward for a former prime minister to run again in his constituency, but without a party support, independent? Does that not seem a bit awkward?
It would be highly unusual. In fact, I think the F&M's constitution, as in most parties' constitutions, if you contest against your party, and imagine that this is a former prime minister who would be contesting against his party, that you are automatically expelled from your party. Right? Because I mean, think about that. You run against your party. I could not conceive of a Sir Lyndon running against the PLP.
Right.
A Perry Christie running against the PLP. A Brave Davis running against the PLP. A Hubert Ingram running against the F&M. I couldn't conceive of any such thing as Cecil Wallace Whitfield. No, man, that's highly unusual.
He clearly is still making a decision, because he's not come out and say, I'm going to run again, and he's not said what he's going to do. He's kind of left it out there, and when he left the House, reporters went to try and badger him, and he said nothing. And I told people, I said, listen, that's a part of his plan. He's clearly still trying to make a decision, and he doesn't want to make a decision too soon, this far ahead of elections. He's always waiting to see where the support lies for him and what his options are, and whether it would be wise to run independently. But because at the end of the day, the party decides they're not running you, you can't do anything to force him to run you. And so I think he's obviously calculating his moves to make a decision.
You know what is interesting is, first of all, if I have done one show every day, 5 days a week for the last several months, and Dr. Minnis has been the subject of that show for 5% of the time, boy, the people are right. I'm talking about him every day. But what is true is, Dr. Minnis is a political figure, a public figure, a significant figure. If he makes a comment, we do a current affairs show, as you do, we talk about current affairs.
Correct.
Dr. Minnis said recently he was going to run.
Right.
And so we talk about it. And so I'm sorry some people's feelings get hurt when their favorite people may not be spoken of in the glowing ways that they would like. But if you're a public figure, this is life. And talking about me doesn't make me feel one way or the other.
You have stepped away from politics. Was it how you wanted it to be, or you still felt you had years left in public service as a politician?
Well, I didn't step away from politics. People fired me. And so I packed up my Georgie bundle and I went about my business. When they came back to ask me, I said, no, I'm busy, I'm doing some other things for the moment, and so blah, blah, that's the way it is. So I'm very dried-eyed about what has happened in my life, you know. I offered myself for office, I won. I offered myself for office again, I lost. I offered myself for office, I won. I offered myself for office again, I lost. And so now I'm just doing other things. And I have not been disappointed, I've been disgusted, I've been delighted about my presence in politics, and I've been delighted about my presence out of politics.
What advice do you give to the Free National Movement? It's now preparing to go into a general election. It has a new leader. It still has in the shadows an old leader who people still don't know. The party clearly still has supporters for one and supporters for the next. the FNM has this one opportunity right now to try and position itself to become the next government. Meanwhile, the PLP is hoping to break a streak that has gone on for decades of one-term governance. What advice do you give right now to both parties, actually?
I give them the same thing I say to politicians all the time, that you are players on a stage, and the audience are the voters. If you stay on the stage patting yourself about the great job you've done, that means nothing if the audience isn't giving you a standing ovation. And so what the actors on the stage, the political operatives, have to do is be focused on the audience. What is it that concerns you? What is it that you need? What is it that we can really do to help you? How can I persuade you? How can I convince you? How can I keep your attention? That's the bottom line. You can't get caught up with some actor or actress playing freaky on the side here, some actor or actress trying to do their own thing on the side here. All the while, you keep focused on the audience and you see, are they smiling? Are they happy? Are they delighted? Are they proud? Are they crying? And you continue to serve the audience.
Does that mean, because in politics, it's been so strange in our country, because it seems as though the needs are more sometimes personal than they are national.
Right.
And people at this point figure, well, you know what, y'all can do y'all do anyway, so let me see what I can get out of it. What you can do for me, and if you do for me, I vote for you. If you don't do for me, then you're out. Is that the nationalistic approach, or that's what we've become when it comes to voting?
Well, I mean, it's hard to ask people not to think about their own personal needs in the collective, because if I am unemployed, I have a real need. My need is of a job. If my income isn't good, then my need is better income. If my mom is sick and needs can't afford it, those
are the real issues.
So those are, and so the reality is, you have to be honest with people. Sir, I cannot bail your son out. Ma'am, the medical bill that you have, I can't personally do anything about, but we ought to be able to develop and design a program that addresses your need, because you represent others, and so forth and so forth. So it is a listening and an attempt to realistically respond. Now, if you want to go to people into the public and lie to them and all that kind of stuff, at the end of the day, all you're going to do is get found out, whether you win or lose. So be honest with people and try to, as best you can, address their collective needs and soak up some of their individual needs in the process.
That's good advice there. It's always good to hear from you, Trivago.
My pleasure.
Thank you for coming to the Rundown.
Anytime.
We appreciate you being here tonight. Still to come tonight, do you follow the rules of the road? Pops up a public policy. If you don't, we'll tell you why you should. And when the Rundown comes back, we'll meet the people who have some words of advice for you. We're back after the stickers.
Join us each Sunday at 5 p.m. and Tuesdays at 2:30 p.m. for Legends, the Untold Story, here on the ZNS Television Network.
Bahama Striping Group of Companies, we have been in Exuma now for the past 4 years, carrying out our paving program. A part of our company's philosophy is to do some work to international standards. So when you look at our paving division, we have a state-of-the-art lab to do all of our testing in-house, as well as a state-of-the-art asphalt plant with a trained technician carrying out the work on that site. The overarching goal of our company is to produce the work that we're doing in the entire Bahamas to international standards. We also make a difference by the training of our staff. We have a very intensive training program going on to where we are teaching young men how to learn the art of striping. Being a young man myself, I've made mistakes in the past. I was given a second chance to better my life, and it's only fitting that we pass that along. What's important for us is giving them a second chance for them to get a skill and a career that could take them further in life.
For us at the Myers Group of restaurants, we found that we have a pretty large portion of our employment pool that had difficulty getting bank accounts.
The issue we had previously was just getting cash, getting funds on the island. And with only one working ATM, the idea of the sand dollar just in being digital and everybody has a smartphone nowadays. It actually works into our favor.
The sand dollar was like a godsend because it allowed us to add it to our payroll system, which means we're able to send their money to the sand dollar wallet.
It's still a bank transfer because you get an account number. So from the employer side of things, all I have to do is send your funds just as usual.
It opens up our pool for us to be able to hire some of the people that we couldn't hire before because they were unable to open bank accounts. This has been a really good solution.
Well, here are some stats motorists need to know, all right? Let's give it to you. Road traffic injuries are a leading cause of death and disability worldwide, with nearly 1.2 million people killed and as many as 15 million people injured each year. Now, they are the leading killer of young people aged 5 to 29 years. Globally, more than 1 of every 4 deaths occur among pedestrians and cyclists. And this is why all motorists should practice road safety at all times. And as the country observes National Road Safety Week under the theme, Making Walking and Cycling Safe, executives from the Bahamas Driving School Association are here tonight to provide us with some important tips on driving safely. Please welcome Vice President Nathaniel Pierre and Secretary Calpurnia Campbell on the show. Welcome, both of you. Good to have both of you here.
Thank you
for being in Rundown.
Good evening.
When I think about road safety, I always think about the fact that we had so many people who were enraged on our streets, right? You have the regular drivers, you have the fearful drivers, and you got the crazy drivers. And people who are always angry at something or something happens and they react with their driving to it. And it creates very unsafe roads. What is the message that your association would like to push to Bahamians this week?
Well, good evening, Mr. Watson, and thank you on behalf of our association, our president, and our hard-working instructors. Excellent question. We would like the Bahamas to recognize that we are all stakeholders when it comes to safe driving. We've all been in the streets when an accident happens, and we don't know why the traffic is backed up for miles, and then we see what happens. We all have heard about the traffic fatalities, 15 for this year already. And with a nation with under 1 million people, that's significant. And so we are all impacted one way or the next when a traffic fatality happens or when an accident happens, even if it's just delay or if it's just because of the tragedy itself. We want people to recognize that driving safely is not a demand. It's what we want to move towards as a nation. I'll give you a small example. I was downtown and the police pulled me over in my truck because I had sign on it without a tarp. And the police, he asked for my ID and I gave it to him. And he says, "You drive taxi also?" I said, "Yes, sir." So he let me go. But there was 5 tourists behind him looking at the interaction between law enforcement and the citizenry. And so everything we do impacts GDP, impacts tourism. People are watching how we behave on the roads, and we would just like to be proud in that area as Bahamians also to say we do well on the road, you know, to reduce some of these things.
You know, I'll bring you in on this because it's not the fact that we don't know. Because we do whatever we want to do here, and when the minute we rent a car in the United States of America, we put on our seatbelt the minute we get in the car, we follow the rules, we don't overtake, we don't come onto the edge of the corner and try to sneak onto the thing. We drive very safe in the United States of America, and we obey all the rules in the United States of America. So I've adopted the fact that it's just our culture that where we say in our minds, I home, I get away with this. But we know in the United States, I could pay a serious fine for this or go to jail. So do you believe it's more so a mindset over the fact that it is people just don't know?
Well, to say they don't know, like you said earlier, it's shared responsibility. You know when it's time to take your driving test because you want to get that license.
Because you have an end game plan.
Yes, and you encourage them, drive safely. They say, yes, I will. But then you see them maybe 5 years later, it's like, you sure I taught you?
Wow.
Yes, I didn't get in any accident, but you can cause an accident. But now, when we talk about driving safely, we have to look at the man in the mirror. What is it that we are doing that would cause someone to say, why are you doing that? How are you helping me to be more responsible on the road? Let's look at pedestrian crossings, right? Just make walking and cycling safe. With the pedestrian crossings, they see someone approaching the crossing, they speed up.
Right.
That's not safe. Pedestrians also have rights on the road. When you look at the cyclists, if the cyclists put their hand out and they're trying to move to the right, drivers speed around them. So we want to highlight, make walking and cycling safe. But also, we have our Touch Every Island campaign going on, starting this month with the pedestrians, with the cyclists. It's a 12-month campaign. So we're not just having 1 week, because we had a conversation in our first meeting after elections. We talk about the drivers and how they're not driving the way they should. So how can we make it better? The association has to make a move. People don't know about us. We have a responsibility too to road users. And so we were partnering, we intend to partner with Ministry of Tourism, Ministry of Transport, hopefully road traffic. We want to have a representative on every major island.
Wow.
We're not just promoting the association, promoting safety. Safe road users, safe drivers.
People come to you, obviously, when they want to get their license. They have to come and do the driving test and driving lessons. Are the instructions standardized over the various companies that provide driving lessons and get people prepared to get their license?
Well, the procedure for obtaining a license is first you have to take a theory test. And once you are successful with that, you get your learner's permit on the spot. At that time, you are entitled to send an email in, and they send you back a response to let you know that this is the date that you come in and you take the road with an examiner. Once you're successful, you get your driver's license. What we would like to do as the association is to see there be some minimum standards as far as your competency on the road prior, that space between obtaining your learner's permit and actually taking the test. That's a public safety issue because we want to make sure that the examiner is safe, that other road users are safe, and also the student behind the wheel is safe. The Driving School Association has been instrumental in causing there to be a use of driving school vehicles to do the driving test. That's something that we worked for. The condition of the fort that is being used by the Road Traffic Department to administer the parallel parking and the reversing, that was under the auspices of our association. So the association has been doing a tremendous amount of work behind the scenes. It's a labor of love. So we want to continue the partnership with stakeholders in our installation of our executive teams just recently. The Prime Minister, the Minister of Transport, the Minister of Education, all of them. They encouraged us to continue expanding our role in the community. Yesterday we were on a program, and the passion that the callers were using when they called in, talking about the way the bus drivers allow students to exit in front of the bus. So we realized that the nation is ready for TBDSA, our initiatives. We just want to help.
So what are some of the things you want people to know about this association? I know we have about 2 minutes left. I want to be able to get in. What are some of the key facts you want people to know about on the road and about your association?
Well, first of all, our president is Herman Cleophas Maycock. 46 years in the profession, right, yes. Secondly, coming up June 20, we'll be having the Legends Award, honoring our visionaries, our pioneers, Preston C. Hanna, the mentor, Prince Edward Grant, the visionary, the standard bearer, Reuben Hamilton. So we want the public to know that the Bahamas Driving School Association is here. We are here for you. It took us a long time to make ourselves more public because people are telling us they're not aware of us.
Right, right.
But we have been here from the 1960s.
Wow.
Yes. And with our 12-month safety campaign, you will feel us, you will see us, and we're going to get better drivers from this.
I totally believe that. Nathaniel, I'll give you the final word.
Well, the Driving School Association has put more safe drivers on the road of the Bahamas than any other institution.
Wow.
We are also the Bahamas' only driving school association, and our representation is 99% of all driving schools. So we just want the Bahamas to know that we are here, we are a stakeholder, we're here to support, we're here to help, and we're here to educate.
Sounds good. You guys look good too. I'll tell you that for sure.
Thank you very
much. Listen, we appreciate you coming to the show. It has been indeed a pleasure having you guys, and I'm glad I didn't know about the association. I see we have, who's this coming in?
The president.
Oh, this is the president here. You were talking with the president. Welcome, Mr. President.
Good evening.
And it's good to have you. Good to have you here at the association. A lot more people need to know about it, and I hope y'all give me one of them. But I like them butts y'all got there. I come to be road safety. All right. Okay. Well, thank you.
This here is when we had our installation service. It's a booklet that you can go through.
Thank you.
And this is the button for the global.
All right. Well, I put my little button on right now. Congratulations to you guys. And I support for having a safer road. All of us got to be on the road. So we need safe people on the road.
Yes, sir.
And congratulations to you, and we wish you all the best. Thank you for coming on the show tonight.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you
That
so
does
much.
it for the rundown for us tonight. We want to correct programming notes. We want to remind you, we told you about last night. The rundown will be airing live on the ZNS network at 8 o'clock tomorrow night from the Small Business Development Center Access Accelerators Town Meeting in Exuma. So we come live tomorrow from Exuma. Then on Thursday, the rundown will air live at 8 p.m. from Grand Bahama. So Exuma tomorrow night, and then Grand Bahama on Thursday night for the historic signing of the heads of agreement for the redevelopment of the Grand Lucania Resort. The rundown leadership will return next week, Thursday, May 22nd at 8 p.m. All right, and remember to stay locked on the ZNS network for the Bahamas tonight at 11. It's a final newscast in the country with the latest information with Royston Jones. I see he's somewhere in the building getting ready for 11 o'clock news, somewhere around here getting ready for 11 o'clock. So join him at 11 tonight. For all of us here at ZNS, I'm Clint Watson. Thanks so much for joining us. Good night, everyone.